Hi, my name is Chris Elias, and with this video I would like to show you how to patch a large or even extra large tear on the vinyl liner in ground and above ground pool. I have mentioned many times in my previous videos that I always recommend applying 2 patches for large tears. But this rule doesn't apply if the tear has a good and solid support behind it. For example, if the tear is on the bottom of an in-ground pool, there is no need for extra pads because underneath the liner is the concrete body of the pool that can support the liner from the pressure of the water. The same applies to the above ground pools, only if the area of the leak didn't lose and wash out extensive amounts of sand and the tear is not close to the seam area. In case you are wondering how close to the seam area, I would say about a foot from the bottom seam or corner of the pool. Also, you can apply 1 patch if the tear is on the wall on an in-ground pool, since the concrete wall will support the pads pretty well. The only rule we should follow when you are preparing the pads is to calculate the size of the tear and add at least 2 to 4 inches on each side of the pads depending on the size of the tear. The reason is that the pads needs to be attached on a bigger liner surface area so it doesn't create a bigger tear if someone applies pressure at the area of the pads. If the tear is under the ladder or steps of an above ground pool, then I always recommend applying 2 patches for extra support. It is wise to place the ladder on a different spot so the pads doesn't get any pressure, and always use a pool mat underneath it. In case that a temporary patch has been applied to the tear and it's difficult to remove it, do not force it, because if it's stuck on the liner, you may create a bigger tear. Cut and remove carefully the material that is not attached to the liner and clean the surface area on the pads before you apply a new one. Sometimes if the surface is not flat and the patch creates a wrinkle, you may have to cut the pads on the edges in order to close the openings and make the pads more solid. I say many times to secure the rubber bumpers or the plastic guards of the ladder before you place it and start using it. Teach even your kids how to place it properly so you do not create tears like these ones. These tears have washed out a great amount of sand, so you have to be extra careful after the repair. I will try to put some sand inside the holes and clean the area before applying the patches. The first part has to cover the tear, and I will add at least 4 inches on each side since I am dealing with an extra large tear. The rest of the patches are to support the first one and to hold on more surface area of the liner for extra support. You definitely don't want to place the latter on the same spot, and advise the people that are using the pool not to step on the patches. That's the reason that I used dark patches so people can see where not to step on. At this point, I would like to ask you, what method do you use to patch large tears on the vinyl liner? Please feel free to give me your feedback in the comment section. Also, if you find my content valuable so far, the only thing I ask you in return is to like it and share it with people that may find it useful and help them with their pool issue. Thank you in advance. Now let's get back to the tears. If the tear is on the seam area, you definitely have to apply larger patches because at the corner there is a hollow space underneath the liner. The patch needs to hold on as much surface area of the liner as possible so it can handle the constant pressure of the body of the water. I will usually apply more patches on this large tear on the corner of the liner, but because it was just a temporary repair since the owners were planning to replace the liner pretty soon. In case you are wondering why I should put 2 patches and not just one large patch, stay with me to the end and I will explain and show you some examples with just one patch. If the tear is an above ground intake spool, you need to be extra careful with the repair. The tear was around the return outlet of the pool. If the tear was on an in-ground pool, it would be an easy repair since the concrete wall would support the patch. But because there is no support on the above ground pool, I will remove the return outlet and patch the large opening. For this repair, I had to apply multiple patches because behind the side of the pool was not anything to support the liner. I always recommend placing a piece of styrofoam behind the repair and a bar or a piece of wood that can hold it against it and support the patch from the water pressure. Now let me show you the larger tear that I had to repair. As I said before, if the tear is at the wall of an in-ground pool, the patch is more solid and has better support. The only challenge is to secure the patch around the return outlet and create more surface area so the patches can have better support. I will apply 2 patches under the return and the rest patches vertically so it connects the top and the bottom side of the tear. Since we only had some extra leftover liner from the installation, I will use it to cover the patches and to look nicer. Now let me show you some single patches that failed and I had to revisit and apply a second larger patch. As you can see, there is no tear but a small hole close to the seam area. Because the owner didn't address the issue soon, it lost a great amount of sand and support underneath the liner. It seemed an easy repair, and I did apply a large patch according to the size of the hole. But because it lost so much sand, the liner moved lower and it dragged the patch with it. As a result, it created an opening and allowed water to escape the pool. On my second visit, I had to apply an extra large patch in order to make sure that no more openings would occur. My next example is an above ground pool as well. In this case, I used double patches for each stair instead of one, and it still failed. As you can see, the stairs are close to the seam area, but you can't know or see how much sand has been washed out. Even the first patch was big enough to cover the tear, but as the first example, the leak area lost its support from the sand and the liner moved deeper and it dragged the patch as well. On my second visit, I was surprised when I saw the patch detach the liner and created such a large opening. But every job is a lesson that I am happy to take and learn from it. That's why I'm sharing this information with you, so you can learn from my mistakes. For the final patch, I will add at least 4 inches from each side, measuring the previous patch and not the tear. You need the new patch to cover the previous and hold on enough surface area of the liner. Lastly, I would like to show you a case of tears on a liner that has to be replaced, and patch will not stop any water loss. If the liner is old, loses its elasticity, has extensive hard wrinkles, and its form is like plastic from the edge and chemicals, the patch will not stick on the liner, even if you apply extra glue on it. Just replace the liner as soon as possible. At this point, I would like to ask you, what method do you use to find leaks in a vinyl liner pool? Are you an old school type, or do you use any ultrasound device, and what would be that? Please let me know in the comment section. If you would like to support my work, please consider subscribing to my channel and hit the bell to be notified of future videos. I will do my best to create more videos and give you all the tips for detecting pool leaks. If you find my content valuable, please consider liking it and sharing it with people that may find it useful and help them with their pool issue. Also, please feel free to leave me your questions or thoughts in the comment section. I'm always happy to read your feedback and answer your questions. This encourages me to create more content and helps me to grow my channel. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe and take care.